Hi, welcome to Lachlan Likes a Thing, a show where I take a thing and see whether or not I like it. Now the thing we're looking at in this video is the Westone ADV Alpha, which is Westone's first dynamic driver in-ear earphone. Now, Westone's a company that's traditionally been associated with making really high quality, balanced armature earphones, so naturally there's a lot of curiosity to see what Westone can do with dynamic drivers. Now, the ADV in the earphone's name stands for adventure, and there's a number of design features in the ADV that are targeted towards active users. So let's have a closer look. The earphones themselves have a really well thought out design, and they're incredibly well built. I cannot emphasize that enough. These feel like they're built like a tank. Apart from these soft touch rubber surfaces here where they touch your ears, the actual earphone body itself has been made out of a single piece of solid magnesium metal, and that's incredibly impressive at this price point, because what it means is you not only get a lightweight metal design, but you get something that feels incredibly durable. Even though this nozzle here is very narrow, because it's made out of metal, you don't get any sense that these could bend or break without really significant force. They're actually water resistant earphones, so you can see here the filter is made out of this membrane here that's apparently water resistant. The ADVs have ear loops, which means you just tuck the cables around the back of your ears. I found that very comfortable and it cuts down a lot on cable noise, but I did find that sometimes when you're running, the ear loops would flop out over your ears. The cables on the ADV are detachable and they require a fair amount of strength to detach. But you can see here that if you break the cables, you can replace them, so that's really nice. The cable itself is coated in a braided fabric that actually has little reflector panels all along the way, and these reflector panels will increase your visibility at night, so that's again something that's for outdoor users. Now, one thing I found was that out of the box, my cable actually had one of the reflector panels fraying and sticking out, so it did scratch against my skin a little and it was a little irritating. I just snipped it off, but that is one thing to look out for. As the cable ages, it will probably start getting quite scratchy. The stock cables on the ADV come with an iPhone and iPad remote, and what's really nice about this remote is that even though the buttons are big and chunky and easy to press and easy to find in the dark, the actual remote itself is very lightweight, so you don't really feel it hanging off your ear. The ADV cable terminates in a 90-degree mini jack, and even though it's quite narrow, it feels fairly durable. The ADV comes with a pretty generous selection of accessories, including this big, chunky, and I suspect water-resistant carrying case. It comes with a shirt clip and cleaning tool, and 5 sizes of foam ear tips and 5 sizes of silicone ear tips. So I think you're pretty much covered when it comes down to finding the right size for your ear. So I'm really impressed with the build quality and the design of the ADVs, but how do I feel about the sound? Well, I have to say I'm a little less impressed with the sound than I am about the design of the ADVs. Let me say right off the bat that Westone has clearly crafted what is the most comfortable and durable bass head in-ear earphone there is out there. And if that doesn't tell you what it sounds like, let me spell it out to you. The ADVs are incredibly thick sounding. They have a very, very strong emphasis towards the bass. The bass is really tight, it's very deep, it's very chunky and authoritative. But the rest of the signature vocals, other kinds of instruments are just quite distant sounding. Now, the ADVs don't sound swampy or sloppy. They actually have a fair amount of detail, and there's just a little bit of shimmer or kind of a nice shininess to the treble that doesn't make it sound completely congested. But I have to say, and even though I do like my bass in earphones, these are just very, very thick sounding. If you apply an equalizer to the ADVs, like the iTunes bass reducer equalizer, you can actually hear that the driver in the ADVs is quite articulate and there's quite a lot of nice definition to it. And with the equalizer, actually it sounds like a really nice earphone. However, with the default sound, if you don't like using an equalizer, you can basically hear that the instruments and all the other details are kind of lost because of the heavy emphasis on the bass. Now, I find with these kind of signatures that they work really well with a lot of modern studio recordings, because a lot of modern studio recordings have already pushed the treble way too high to the point where it becomes irritating. So, you know, with those high frequencies, they're toned down a little with the ADVs. Also, I found that combined with the incredibly high external noise isolation, the ADVs actually really good when you're walking around in the city, because the bass emphasis does mean that you get a good sense of where the rhythm is without having to turn the volume on your headphones up too loud. However, when I found that I was just at home or just in a quiet place listening, I just found the ADVs quite dull to listen to, a bit lifeless, just because the high frequency roll-off did rob a lot of the richness of a lot of the tracks that I was listening to. So do I recommend the ADV? Well, it's really hard for me to say because I'm actually not sure I'm who the ADV was actually intended for. If you are a really active user and you want a very durable earphone, the reflector panels on the cable seem like a really good idea to you, and you want that water resistance, everything like that, the ADV is a really well thought out and complete package that would work really well for you. Personally, as a workout earphone, I actually prefer the Sony XBA C10 because even though it's not as well built as the ADV, it's just as comfortable, and because it's much cheaper, it's not going to be a horror story if it does die. In terms of a bassy sounding earphone, as I said, I don't mind my bass, and the ADVs do sound very bassy, but personally I prefer something like the Sony XBA 40 or the JVC FXD 80 because I feel like these are earphones that are able to deliver a really strong bass performance without sounding quite as lifeless or dull in the vocals as the ADVs do. I do have a review up of the Sony XBA 40, so check out my channel if you want to see that. Otherwise, I do have a review planned of the XBA C10 and the JVC FXD 80, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel because I think these are both really good value in-ear earphones that I am going to review as soon as I can. Anyway, I have a Facebook page now, so if you want updates or you want to talk to me about gear, just hit me up there, or you can tweet to me at LockeLikesAthing. Thanks to everyone who's liked my videos and subscribed to my channel, and happy listening.